Hey everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Boboom. I'm your host Bob, and I would like to get back on track with video games. Virtual reality has been one of the biggest blunders of the past year. That is including this month. I'm not technically saying January, in 2017 or anything like that. I just in the past year, VR has kind of been a pretty big blunder and disappointment. A lot of developers are kind of jumping ship, and a lot of developers don't see other people jumping ship. VR is incredibly expensive, it is incredibly picky, and not enough people even have room for VR. For instance, Microsoft, with their newest console, the Scorpio, they want it to be VR ready right out of the box. Well, okay. Let's say the console is about $500. Then you have VR headsets, which are give or take about $500. And then you have to worry about the cable, and then you have to worry about the living room space, and then you have to worry about the sensors. That sounds like a big mess. I mean, $1,000 and you haven't even bought anything else yet, like any video games or even moved any of the furniture out of the room or anything like that yet. It just sounds just kind of cumbersome, doesn't it? Now, back in the 90s, when VR was kind of first being like this new, like, whoa, it's so rad kind of thing, wearing backwards hats and stuff like that, it was incredibly cumbersome. Imagine a massive 2 foot bright red box on your face. And it was pretty heavy and it needed support and all this other kind of stuff. It was pretty bad. Nowadays, it's definitely gotten better. There's nothing wrong with the hardware for VR. It's got a great screen. It's got great motion tracking. It's very lightweight compared to what previous models over the years have been. The hardware itself has improved, but the only thing that hasn't improved is the software. You have a few handful of games out there that, I don't know, kind of stick out, but they don't really push the potential of VR. They don't really say VR could be the next great thing. Do you see where I'm coming from? Like, there's nothing that says I need that game, but now I need VR to get that game. If there could be something similar to what you see with, and I hate it, I know I'm gonna get flack for saying this, but like Sword Art Online or Dot Hack, which were animes about online MMOs that used virtual reality headsets. If there was something out there that pushed VR to the extent that got people excited to actually buy VR and buy into the hype, then VR wouldn't have suffered so much in 2016. But there isn't. Because a lot of these game developers, they're missing the point. VR isn't just about having a rail shooter and then some quick, easy way to have a jump scare. Virtual reality, like I've said in previous videos, is about immersion. You need something that sticks out, and none of these devs are doing that. Now, you have Resident Evil 7 that just came out. The newest one by Capcom, and guess what? The game did not make a whole lot of sales, and by that logic, it didn't help VR. Not at all. Now, with Resident Evil 7, you kind of get, it's a first-person shooter, so you kind of get to look around and, all these different angles, like, oh, look, that corner looks super spooky and all that other kind of stuff. Oh, no, I got scared. Like, okay, fine. Like, no other VR game has ever done anything like that. Like, it's not, even though it's a AAA title, and you would expect Resident Evil in some kind of way to raise the bar, it didn't. Because the actual VR aspect is just boring. Now, you don't have to play the game with VR, and hell, most people probably aren't playing it with VR. A lot of people, in fact, actually get sick from VR. The motion tracking and everything like that, it makes people a little dizzy. They get motion sickness and all this other kind of stuff, and it doesn't work for them. It's hilarious to me when I know that there's so many of these companies trying to push this VR hype and nobody wants it. At least not enough people want it. Like PlayStation. right? You saw them try and push their VR headsets with the newest Final Fantasy. They had an ad for it, and the Final Fantasy character has it on his head, and he's all like, "Whoa, this is really cool and rad." And you have some people that are trying to push this virtual reality, and I'm actually doing air quotes with my fingers right now. This virtual reality with your cell phone, where pretty much you just glue the cell phone to your face. Come the fuck on. And then they overhype it and they act all crazy. Oh my God, whoa, that's like so amazing. It's like I'm really there. Fuck off. You're selling it way too hard. And people aren't buying into it. It's too expensive. It's too nitpicky. And people don't want it right now. And it suffered. It suffered. And I hope they get the signal. I hope these game developers and these console developers and these big multimillionaires get the fucking... They see it. They see the signal flare. Like, this isn't working. We need something that actually pushes it, that actually says this was worth the $600 to $700 that we poured into it. It's not looking good. With Microsoft, like I said earlier, with their Scorpio project, it's going to be VR ready outside the box. Who's going to have it? Who's even going to have VR? That's great that you're making VR ready some kind of standard for your console, but what demographic are you appealing to? How many people out there who are going to buy a Scorpio can actually compete? How many of the people that will have a Scorpio can also afford VR, on top of the fact, actually enjoy it? Can you imagine having a console in your living room and then instead of just using the TV that it's attached to, attaching the screen to your face? You might as well... That's $1,000-something. You might as well just build yourself a really nice PC. And guess what? They think they can beat PC. They're one of the dumbass people out there that say that, it's gonna be a really good competitor with the PC market. Fuck off, man. Building a computer has become so easy that even big buff black guys like Terry Crews from the Old Spice commercials built one. Yeah, that big buff black dude that yells at you and shit. He built his own computer because his son enjoyed building computers and playing video games, and he wanted to have that father-son connection. So kudos to him just for that alone. But the fact that even this 40-something-year-old man who knew nothing about computers just went online and asked people, hey, could you help me understand how to do this? And he actually made a vlog and everything about it. He actually recorded himself like doing all of this. Anyone can build a computer. But no, we got to keep pushing consoles. It's for your convenience. Yeah, well, it's real convenient that I have a console that forces Hot Pocket ads down my throat and then doesn't even allow me to check my email. I have to get up from the couch or whatever and grab my cell phone from somewhere else because I forgot it somewhere. You see my point, right? Like, there's so many other things that a PC can do that a console just can't. What is happening? What is happening to the market right now? Everyone's losing money. And you think the Switch is going to make money? Fuck off. Do you see how tiny those controllers are? The Nintendo Switch has controllers so tiny that they even look small within the hands of natural-born Japanese men. They even look tiny for them. But different strokes, right? The Japanese people are smaller people. They make smaller cars. Their apartments are smaller. Their food portions are smaller. They're just smaller people. So a lot of things in their countries are designed for those smaller people. So when you have a controller that looks tiny to those people, how is it going to work in the Western world when you have people up in Ohio that are fucking 7 foot tall and they eat nails for breakfast, right? And they go to play, I don't know, let's say that they do buy a Nintendo Switch. Like, maybe their family has a Nintendo Switch, and maybe his daughter's like, Daddy, come and play Nintendo Switch with me. And he's got this this tiny thing that looks like the size of like a wristwatch or something like that in his hand. Not to mention it's practically an iPad. It is an iPad, people. It's not it's not complicated. It is an iPad with Bluetooth controllers. Yes, those have been around for years now. I used to use a little Bluetooth controller for my cell phone when I had a PlayStation 1 emulator on it. It's not complicated. And somehow you think that they're going to make tons of sales, and some people are saying, whoa, Nintendo's back, baby. Nintendo's really going to do it this time. No, absolutely not. I'm calling it now. January 30th, 2017, the Nintendo Switch in the Western world is going to make shit sales. I can't give you an exact number. I think they're trying to ship 3 million units worldwide, which is really small. Really small. Like, they are not expecting to sell all of that. Or they're at least trying to make it sound like that there's not a whole lot of them, so then they could just kind of like gouge the price a little bit. But they're trying to, I think, get like $300, $350, somewhere around there for it. Fuck off. If you already have an iPad, go get yourself some Bluetooth controllers and emulate on it. Or if you have an Android, that's even better because emulating's easier on it. It's an OS thing. I'm going to be working on Over Trump 2. I hope a lot of you are going to stay tuned. I hope a lot of you are excited. I'm going to do my best at trying to complete this sometime this month, probably this week. I'm going to try my hardest. Just be on the lookout. Stay tuned for anything. Don't forget to do all the subscribing and the liking and the sharing and all that crap. You don't have to. I don't monetize any of this shit. Have a good one.